Selamat siang. Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update. This is May 9th, 2022. And my name is Bruce. I'm laughing because I said it was March. Who knows when it is? Okay, first, what's the weather? The weather is raining. It started pouring last night, huge thunderstorm, and we had another one today. It was nice for a couple of hours, and then it started pouring, and it is drizzling now. And the wind speed is, well, relatively mild, 5.6 kilometers per hour. The temperature, 30.3 degrees Celsius, and the humidity, 77%, as you might expect. Obviously, the issue that attracts everybody's attention, and I can tell numbers here spike when there's something about visas and coming to Bali, and the numbers go down when it's about news about Bali or Indonesia. That's just the way it is. And so I will start with a review, but I'll tell you right now, there is nothing new right now. I wanted to see what was going to happen. I went online 15 minutes after immigration opened, and there were a dozen comments already. What's happening? It doesn't work that way here. There'll be news when there's news. Maybe tonight. This is Monday, you know, Monday is a news release night usually. Maybe there'll be some news tonight, maybe some news tomorrow. Right now, things are the same. I will review them to start with, because when you go to the immigration site, the pop-up that I talked about last week comes up, and I will go over it one more time because people are still confused about it. And the issue with the mystery hepatitis or mystery disease, whatever it is still ongoing. And what's bad for those of us that are here, it looks like there is a problem with rabies again. And a couple of warnings about watching yourself in Bali. I know people like to say Bali has changed my life. It's done this, it's done that. It's an island. It's not a person. And it can be dangerous if you're not careful. And so I'm going to talk about two instances just as an illustration that you have to be careful when you're here. You can't just float off away into La La Land. One person dead, another severely injured. Okay, so let's get to it with the numbers. The numbers continue to be stable, and so that's good news. Of course, this is Monday, so weekend and the end of the holidays, and so we'll see what's coming up in this next week. But national new cases, 227. National recoveries, 452. National deaths, 10. Bali new cases, 15, same as the other day. Bali recoveries, 12, and Bali deaths, 0. So continuing on with the good news, and so let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. Okay, let's do the update on the visa issues, and this is the information that popped up today when I went to the immigration site just a half an hour ago. Same as the other day. Number one, single entry visitor visa, index B211A, B211B, B211C, issued before April 16th, can only be granted a one-time extension of the stay permit with a maximum of 60 days. The applicant must apply at the immigration office and pay a stay permit of 2 million rupees. Okay, so that's if you have a B211A before the 16th. After the 16th, single entry visitor visa index B211A, B211B, B211C issued from 16th April, valid for a stay of 60 or 180 days. Well, there was no 180 days. Cannot be granted a stay permit extension. So if you got one after the 16th, it's done, you're finished. You gotta leave and get a new one. Number three, visa on arrival can only be granted a one-time extension of the stay permit with a maximum of 30 days. The applicant must apply at the immigration office and pay a stay permit fee of 500,000 rupees. And you go to the immigration office wherever you're staying. So if you're up here in the north, you go to Singaraja. If you're down in the south, there are several down in the south that you can go to. And finally, number four, foreigners or sponsors can still apply for a visitor visa within the Indonesian territory that's onshore visa through the online visa approval application. Okay, that is it. No changes yet. We'll see what's going to happen. So do I know if there's any changes? No. This is my answer to this. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully later. Okay, so let's get on to the next one, and hopefully this is a wrap-up on the nude people. But it's important to talk about this one because this comes from the Traditional Village Council. Deportation of foreigners, nude photos in holy places, MDA talks. MDA is the Bali Province Traditional Village Council, and E. Gusti Made Nura said that the deportation, he's a spokesperson for them, was appropriate. He said because of this, it will provide a deterrent to tourists who act unethically on the island of the gods in order to realize quality Bali tourism by maintaining the dignity of the nobility of the Balinese culture. The lesson is that tourists visiting Bali do not know about places that are sacred for local residents due to their lack of insight into Balinese culture, which is sacred and which is non-sacred. So he said this case is a momentum for all of us, especially tourism actors and the government in charge of tourism, to be present among tourists who come to Bali by providing accurate information regarding tourist destinations which can be visited and which ones should not be done in Bali. Bali, in order to minimize the cases of harassment of Hindu religious symbols on the island of the gods. So he's saying everybody here that's involved in tourism is responsible. For this reason, the government in charge of tourism, including the immigration office, must immediately gather tourism actors such as tour guides, to tourist destination managers and others to provide them with an understanding so that cases like this do not happen again. There must be a unified perception to maintain the sacred area in Bali, which is a tourist attraction. Whether later information to tourists is through digital information or information directly from the guide, to information boards at tourist attractions so that tourists understand that there are limits, that when they want to see the beauty of spiritual tourism objects, these tourists can only see it from outside or the mandala. He added, now that the COVID-19 pandemic has slowed, we at MDA will again boost the dissemination of Bali Governor Regulation number 25 of 2020 so that soon the traditional villages in Bali have the regulation and understand it, I'm assuming. So he's saying we need to get this information out to everybody. Everybody that's involved needs to work together to let tourists know where they can and can't go. And well, hopefully tourists will have some common sense and some respect and not try to wander around naked. And let's put an end to this discussion, I hope. And what about hepatitis, which is what's worrying me right now? I know people have all these different concerns. How long can I stay here? And this, for me, living here, I'm worried about the hepatitis with the kids. That's my concern right now. COVID-19 seems to be under control, so I'm not that concerned about it at this point. What I am concerned about is this hepatitis or whatever it is that's affecting children around the world. Update on acute hepatitis. Tulungagung case still impending. The Ministry of Health reports on the latest developments in acute hepatitis cases in Indonesia. The latest case is a 7-year-old girl in East Java who's thought to have died from acute hepatitis. Spokesperson for the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ibu Nadia Tarmizi, said that the case is currently still in pending classification. She said testing at the serology laboratory has begun on the case. The clinical characteristics of this disease are identical to those of hepatitis, but what causes it and where it comes from is not yet known. According to CASIL, the laboratory results did not detect any hepatitis A, B, C, D, or E viral infections in the child. Previously, in Tulungagung, there were 3 cases of acute hepatitis in children. The Ministry of Health first reported this on May 1st, after 3 pediatric patients died while being treated at the hospital. A doctor at the National Central General Hospital in Jakarta said that the causes are yet unknown. Finally, on May 5th, Dr. Tarmizi explained that these 3 cases could not be classified as acute hepatitis with severe symptoms. She said all 3 are included in the pending classification criteria because there are still laboratory tests that need to be carried out, especially the examination of the adenovirus and the hepatitis E examination, which takes time. She said results will be in within 10 to 14 days. Former Director of Infectious Diseases of the World Health Organization, Southeast Asia, Dr. Aditama said that there are 3 WHO classifications of severe acute hepatitis cases are now being reported in various countries. The first classification is the confirmed cases, which clearly state that there's no definition yet. This classification occurs because until now the world does not know for sure what causes a hepatitis that is spreading. The second classification is probable, namely patients who show symptoms of acute hepatitis without the presence of hepatitis A to E viruses. The third classification is the epi-linked, or there is an epidemiological relationship. Conditions that fall into this group are someone who shows symptoms of acute hepatitis without the presence of the A to E viruses. In addition to these 3 classifications, WHO gives special note if a patient has symptoms and complaints similar to hepatitis. However, the results of the serology lab to detect the viruses are not yet available and are still waiting. In this case, this is called pending classification, which is where we are right now. And so, as I said in the last video, the Balinese health authorities are being proactive on this, and they've notified people and health centers around the island to be on the lookout for any cases of hepatitis or that seem similar to hepatitis. Okay, what about rabies? Well, we had a rabies epidemic here, I don't know how many years ago it was. It wasn't that long ago. Until April, Karangasem records 41 cases of rabies dog bites. From 2022 until April, there have been 41 cases of rabid dog bites. In order to check to see if the dog that's biting people is positive for rabies, the Karangasem Regency government, through the Department of Agriculture, is still conducting laboratory tests along with the Denpasar Veterinary Center. This condition is quite worrying, and I agree, given that the case of dog bites suspected of dogs having rabies has been increasing. Of all the cases of rabid dog bites, 22 were found in the period from January to March, 19 in the period from April to early May, and so they're increasing. With the spike in bite cases, the local government is carrying out mass dog vaccinations in several priority locations where there are active cases. Okay, great, they're doing vaccinations and taking it to the dogs. According to a spokesperson, people who like to keep dogs should not let their dogs roam and interact with stray dogs on the street or in the market. If there are stray dogs roaming around their area, they should report it to the officers, not kill it. In addition, traditional villages are expected to make rules for dog keepers so that the owner has the responsibility to treat or vaccinate his dog on a regular basis. Paksueta, the spokesperson, added that when a bite occurs, the party is asked to report to the nearest community health center. In the past, I said there was going to be a lot of information on G20 coming up over the coming months because there's going to be a number of events taking place until November. Pak Luhut was in Bali this weekend. Luhut asked Bali security for G20 leaders to be strictly maintained. Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Pak Luhut, reviewed Bali's preparations for the G20 summit that it will host in November. Pak Luhut surveyed a number of different areas where delegates to the conference are likely to go as tourists or just wandering around. He said, "I ask that the security and comfort of state leaders or delegates can be a major concern, especially in the main spots such as the Wantilan area, tracking lanes, photo points, nursery areas, as well as viewing towers and view decks." He also reviewed the roads and renovated tourist areas, as well as preparing scenarios for site security and traffic engineering. He said, "From the simulation carried out by the Bali police chief, it's necessary to repair and widen the road to GWK in order to facilitate the mobilization of state leaders and delegates." And so they're going to be doing some road work. So if you're down there, as I said a number of times already, it's going to be messy down there over the next 5 months. So, well, good luck. Pak Luhut added the renovation time also needs to be considered. He urged that the work be completed on time. Okay, and we're going to end up here with 2 unfortunate stories, one a death and one another severe injury. And why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this to show that you need to be careful when you're here. People go into holiday mode when they get to Bali for some reason, and they do a lot of stupid stuff, or they get careless and they're not paying attention, and that goes for roads. I was out today on the road and a tourist went zooming by me wearing shorts and one of those cut-off shirts, nothing else, no helmet, no mask, and wow, racing. Now, he gets into an accident, he's toast because he's got no protection and he was driving like an idiot. Why? Well, he could be an idiot, or it just could be, well, hey, I'm on vacation, nothing's going to happen to me. That's not the way it works. So let's take a look at these two. Early morning climb to Mount Batur, California tourist dies in the morning. A climber from California in the U.S. was found dead on Mount Batur. The victim is thought to have fallen while trying to descend from Mount Batur. His body was found at the edge of a cliff yesterday morning. According to information, the deceased tourist, along with 4 others and a guide, made the ascent on Sunday morning at 3:30. They got up there for sunrise, they took photos, and they made their way down. And the unfortunate victim lost his footing apparently and fell. There was apparently a doctor in the group, and the doctor, along with the guide, attempted to descend to save Robert, but rescue attempts were unsuccessful, and he unfortunately died. So you go to Batur, and I know a lot of people want to go to Batur and climb, hike without guides because they don't want to pay the guide fees. That can be a dangerous hike, so you need to be careful. One final story here, and I hope that the allegations about this story are not true. Canadian man rescued after falling into 50-meter deep Bali ravine. Personnel of the National Search and Rescue Agency Bali chapter rescued a 35-year-old Canadian on Saturday evening who fell off a bridge into a 50-meter deep ravine after allegedly trying to take a selfie in Uluwatu. And that's what I'm talking about. I hope that's not true. I hope people are not putting themselves at risk just to take selfies here in Bali. The rescue team chief said the victim was found conscious with severe fractures on his left arm. The rescue operation took around 1 hour due to the terrain and the victim's conditions, he said. The victim was rushed to Bali Jimbaran Hospital. According to South Kuta Police Chief Ketut Sugiyarta Yoga, he said that the victim fell from the Mamo Sulaban Bridge in Uluwatu while trying to take a selfie. The area is known as a favorite place for selfies during sunset, he said. And this guy was lucky. A local resident, Somar, searched under the bridge and found the victim after noticing the unattended motorcycle in the bridge at around 6 p.m. So this guy is down there. Nobody knows he's down here. Fortunately, a local guy comes by, sees a motorcycle on the bridge, nobody's there, and he checks around and he reports this, and personnel came out and they found the victims down at the bottom of the ravine. So is this more of the Instagram, TikTok madness? There's a lot more in life than taking some photos with the sun behind you. Okay, that's it. Let's wrap it up. I know, disappointed for people that want some clarification on the visas. It will be forthcoming. Who knows when? I don't know. Check and find out. If you found this video helpful, useful, informative, scintillating, humorous, non-irritating, please consider giving a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Videos are uploaded Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. A cooking video on Sunday. And here was yesterday's cooking video. Not Indonesian food, Thai food, but really tasty. And that is it. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And I will see you tomorrow.